do you miss me? When you're far away from the city, am I still on your mind? No, it's been such a long time. Tell me, baby, do you think of me? Late at night in your hotel suite, am I still on your mind? Oh, it's been such a long time.
What is up? I hope you guys are having a great day. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit better because today, title of the video, I'm doing kind of like a Nyx rundown, build-ish, guide-ish type thing that isn't that cruddy ass turtle shell, slow moving, just anti-Warframe shenaniganery that I see in a lot of the builds. Granted, like I understand it's cool to be immortal and all that, but like to sacrifice movement, kind of not ideal for me, especially because my name is Jump Melee. It's not play like a decrepit old man who like lost his walker. Yeah, so we'll go into the fashion first. Honestly, I think the reason why I've been enjoying playing Nyx so much is because of the Gemini skin. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I did have a lot of trouble trying to figure out how to like build her and what I was kind of like trying to get out of her. And normally when I run into that problem on like the other Warframes, I'm like, this Warframe just kind of trash, right? But I think the skin is what kept me on and made me really want to keep trying, basically. But yeah, it's the Gemini skin. I am using the Hero animation set just because, like, yo, this looks hard. Like, she's just posted up. It's sick. In terms of attachments, I'm using the Asakage shoulder armor. Just kind of fits well with her outfit. I'm using the Katir plates just for like a cyber ninja classic Warframe look. I don't know if you can get these anymore. I think they're only from Borrow. And in terms of my ephemera, I'm using the Daima. I'm just gonna call it the Daima. Nice sparkles. It's great. It's probably one of my favorites. This isn't like a stark bleach white. It's this like creamy white. You can use like whatever white you want. I just found that in darker environments, it kind of had this like LED look to it, which I didn't really like. And then the green I'm using is also from 1003. It's just that one right there. It's not black. I'm just using the second or third darkest black, also from 1003. And yeah, I think that's it. Same thing with here. No black anywhere, but she does just have black in the outfit naturally. For the hair color, all black, and then the energy is the same green as everything else. For my Syndana, I am using the Sildarg. I use this one pretty often just because there aren't too many Syndanas that I like. This one also just fits the whole space ninja theme that I got going on for her, and that's about it. With that out of the way, let's hop into like a quick overview of her abilities. Her one, mind control. She mind controls enemies. It goes off duration. That's about it. There's not too much to say about it. It's a good skill. I do use it a little bit, which is why I didn't subsume it off. Yeah, there's also an augment buff for it if you want to have your mind controlled enemy do a lot more damage. Psychic bolts. She throws out this bolt. It can strip armor. It can strip 100% armor if you have, I believe it is 130% strength. Really low cap to hit. Super easy. And then you also steal a little bit of armor, you steal some shields, and you can steal overguard as well. Really nice for survivability. Chaos, huge AoE. She just sends everyone into confusion. They can shoot each other. Well, what they actually do is they just shoot. So you can still get hit by enemies who are randomly shooting under the effect of confusion. So just like do be careful with that, like you're not completely safe. And it also force procs 10 stacks of radiation. And oh, that's not her skill. Sorry about that. Her passive gives 40% crit chance for your primary and secondary per confused enemy around you, up to 200%. Really nice. Affinity range is just like 30 meters. This can't be buffed, but you'll see like it's not really too much of a problem, honestly. All right, so in similar fashion to how I did my like Nova build guide-ish type thing, I'll do the same here. There are kind of like mods that I think just make the kit function on a bare bones level. And there are like checkpoints where if you want to get off this ride, you can get off the ride and kind of just do whatever you want for the rest of the stuff. Or you can follow me all the way to the end. Totally up to you, but let's get started. Aura, I think Brief Respite, just like probably generally the best option. Super flexible. If you want more strength, you can go for Growing Power. If you want to run Arcane Avenger, you can go CD. If you're going melee, Steel Charge, like you can honestly do whatever you want in this slot. But I find because I do play her like almost like a pseudo caster, cast and blast type thing, which is my playstyle, I get a lot of value out of Brief Respite. I can always keep my shields topped up. It just works very well for me. Try it out, see how you guys feel about it. Try something different if you want a more specific build in mind, but the aura slot is really flexible. Now, in terms of range, typically whenever I can run stretch, I think at this point now you guys know I'm gonna run Archon stretch. I always have my Panzer on. He procs electricity. Any little bit of energy sustain at all times is really great. And then I run Augur Reach just for a little bit more range and also a little bit more synergy with Brief Respite. There are a lot of people that will run overextended over these two, or like also in tandem with these two. That's totally up to you. Because all my builds have subsumed over her 4, ability strength is something I'm building for. It is something I want to preserve. So overextended isn't a mod that I'm going to use here, but I guess this would be the first checkpoint. If you want just max range and you don't care about strength, you can get off here and figure it out on your own. But yeah. Now, in terms of energy, I just have primed flow. You'll see later on, there will be one open slot here. You can kind of figure it out. You may or may not need another energy slot, whether it's Equilibrium, Energy Nexus, totally up to you, whatever ends up happening. But prime flow for me, along with Archon stretch, is all I need in terms of mods. And yeah, now duration, I just have prime continuity in here. 55% is good enough. Duration just helps out with her mind control length. The duration of her confusion doesn't really matter too much here because like ideally you do just kill everything fast anyways, but it's nice on the mind control. And also the stats that you steal do have a duration, so it increases the duration that they stay on you. Obviously every time you kill and refresh passive or psychic bolts, the timer refreshes, but just in case you go a little bit of a stretch without finding any enemies, or if your teammates are absolutely blasting and you're not. Now from here, in terms of defensive options, honestly, really personal preference really. I have been using my secondaries a lot, so I am running Arcane Precision in a lot of my builds. So Adaptation is what I'm using normally, just because Overguard does help with Toxin. If you aren't running like any type of Overguard or anything like that, I think Rolling Guard might be a really good option there. If you want like a little bit more shields, you can do that as well. Totally up to you. I think Rolling Guard might be the best fit there, but again, because I always have, not always, but because I'm normally running Arcane Precision lately, Adaptation has been like a really good option for me. Now for strength, I'm running Blind Rage. It's the biggest strength mod I have, and maybe that there is. Efficiency, I don't really care about too much because it's just worth it for the strength. Like because I'm subsuming everything over 4, any ability I put on, typically they do benefit from having a higher strength percentage, whether it's Smite, whether it's Breach, Eclipse. There's a bunch of skills that I want to try out in this slot. So I want to get the most out of them, and I don't want to be locked into only using skills that don't require strength, like Nourish. So yeah, this is my go-to here. Again, if you don't really, or if you like prioritize efficiency more and you want to find like other external ways to kind of help with your ability strength, like say through Tau Forged shards, you could just throw in Intensify or Umbral Intensify. Totally up to you, but I find this for me here is like a really good option. Now, this part would be kind of like the first actual checkpoint for if you want to get off, you can get off right here and figure it out the rest of your way. Yeah, you have 2 available slots, whatever you want in the Exilus, and then Arcanes. In terms of Exilus slots, again, because I do have Overguard on almost all the time, I don't have to run Prime Sure-Footed. Also 2 does give you Overguard, so you can depend on it like quite a little bit, to be honest with you. So I'm running Cutting Drift in all of my builds. A little bit more range just feels nice, more slide, less friction. It also feels good to like just play the frame basically. And then for augment mods, I am running Pacifying Bolts. I love her too. I think it has incredible value in terms of armor stripping, because yeah, it's just, I mean, like 100% instant armor strip is crazy. This force procs radiation, and this also confuses enemies. Very synergistic with her passive. Kind of like if I see 3 enemies and I throw Pacifying Bolts at them, or I guess Psychic Bolts, I will basically guarantee 120% crit chance, at least until they die, which is really, really nice. And the thing with Psychic Bolts too is once you throw it out and you kill the enemy, the Psychic Bolt will move on to another enemy. With Pacifying Bolts, you throw a 3 instead of 1, so it just makes it a little bit easier to kind of keep that chain going, so you don't have to cast too much. You can worry a little bit more about blasting, but again, because I'm running Brief Respite, I do cast pretty often, and yeah, cast and blast. Now, this would be checkpoint 2. Okay, I know I only did like 2 things, but this would be checkpoint 2. If you want to get off here, 100%, you can totally go for it. Now, me personally, because I hate Absorb, I think it's a trash, stupid skill. I think it should get well, these claims are bold. I don't know. I think it should get reworked. Like, I feel like it's very anti-Warframe and anti-movement, but to each their own. If you like it, you can 100% go for it. I am always subsuming, or I'm always going to be subsuming over my 4, which means because I do value strength, I'm going to be throwing on Precision Intensify. Now, this slot is pretty flexible. Main reason being because you can get away with 200% strength. It's still like really, really good. You'll still get a lot of that out of Eclipse, a lot out of Eclipse, a lot out of Breach and Smite or whatever else you run. 200% strength is a really, really, really good number. And you can also further increase that with Archon Shards. But I find this just works really well for me here. Just another 90% is a really, really big boost. If you don't have another form of energy sustain, I think this would be a really good place to throw on something like Equilibrium. Might really help out your kit. Also, like, very case dependent on what Archon Shards you have in your inventory. Me personally, I don't like swapping Archon Shards around. If you do, like 100%, just you can try this out. Now, in terms of Arcanes, this is kind of flexible, kind of not flexible. So if you follow these mods exactly, if you follow those mods exactly, you're gonna need some type of energy sustain, whether it's Arcane Energize or my go-to, it's Universal Fallout. This Arcane alone, I think, is what allows Nyx to like ascend into a real like big cast and blast Warframe, just like absolutely spamming abilities, because basically every stack of radiation on an enemy increases their likelihood to drop a universal orb. Universal orbs also give you more health and more energy than like whatever respective orb can give you. And Chaos, if you remember, procs 10 stacks of radiation on every enemy. So essentially what like the gameplay loop for me here is, even when I'm just like, say I'm like gunning through a mission super fast, once I load in, I find my first pack of enemies, I'm gonna cast Chaos so that I can proc radiation on all of them. Universal Fallout will help like them drop at least like 3 or 4 or 5, whatever. That'll top me up practically all the way to like 640 energy. And then from the rest of the mission, if it's a run and gun, I kind of just balance out like casting Psychic Bolts. For my Breach, I'll just throw a Breach Surger every now and then. For Smite, I'll just Smite. And because these two do, because these two do typically proc radiation, at least on these 2 builds, it'll kind of help me keep like my sustain up in terms of energy. If I ever get low, I just cast Chaos again, and then my energy will be like practically topped up all the way. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This thing is like super, super strong, and it is, I'm gonna be real, from what I've seen on the Reddit forums, people do say it's really, really functional, even at rank 0, even at rank 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. So if you have like just a few copies of this, I would say give it a try. And then you can try to make up for it with Tau Shards. So totally up to you. But yeah, now from here, this is kind of like the complete build, I would say. I have my duration, I have my range, I have strength, I have a little bit more strength just to help out with anything I might subsume into my 4, because I hate that skill. And then Arcane Universal Fallout for like a really, really, really big source of sustain. In the last Arcane slot, you can run whatever you want. Like, this is completely flexible, totally up to you, whether you want duration from efficiency. If you want more strength, I think Molt Augmented is an excellent choice here. It'll help push you into like that 350-ish, I think, strength range, which would be really, really nice if you're running like, again, something like Smite or anything that just requires a lot of strength. If you want to use her as like a casting nuker almost, this would be a really good setup to sustain your energy, be able to nuke a lot of things depending on what subsume you grab. Good survivability from Psychic Bolts, Brief Respite, and Augur Reach. Yeah, totally up to you. Again, I am running Arcane Precision most of the time because my dual Coda Torxicas are heat. I'm gonna be honest, they're pretty sick. So like the Overguard just helps me out. Again, if you're not running something to guarantee you a lot of Overguard, I think Prime Surefooted might be a good option. If you find that your playstyle is maintaining Overguard well with Psychic Bolts, then again, just throw up whatever you want, anything up here. In terms of my subsumes and kind of like how I'm using my builds, Outsmited, or the Smite build, and yeah, Outsmited is kind of like my run and gun. So again, I hop into a mission, slap Chaos down, get my energy, and then I'll just like kind of sprint through the map. I will Psychic Bolts everyone. If I see an Eximus, I Psychic Bolt them, and then I drop Smite. They typically die, and it just helps me get through the map a lot quicker if I want to rush through the mission. Eclipse, I think, would probably be like the most generalist build, I'm gonna be real, just because Precision Intensify does give this a lot of value. Like I get 86% damage increase now, which is really big for just my weapons if you want to focus more so on that. Because it also only costs 40 energy, it's a cheap cast, so it's something you can keep up all the time. It's like a very dependable source of damage boost. If you're running an endurance mission and you're having problems like surviving, but you say you have like a good amount of overguard and shield and all that stuff, Eclipse will also be a really good option there, just because again, the 75% damage reduction is just, it's really big. It's really useful. Now, so Breach Surge is probably like the most fun. Yeah, I'm still making videos and relays. Still, sorry, I got distracted. Is probably the most fun, most satisfying subsume I've used on her so far, just because it synergizes really well with her whole kit. It has a chance to apply radiation, so it does help out with universal fallout, albeit like not too much, but it does help here and there. I wouldn't use Breach Surge for like a run and gun or a kind of sprint through a mission type of build. This would be something for like solo survivals where the enemies are going to be grouping around you, defense missions, interception, disruption, like anything in that type of format where you know there's always going to be packs and packs of enemies like hounding you. Really good skill. Very similar to Psychic Bolts, just because once you apply it to an enemy and you kill them, it'll pass on to the next enemy. So they do synergize really well. You see a pack, you cast both, and you're kind of just good for a little bit. In terms of like min-maxing, this isn't too necessary, but what I've noticed is when I cast Breach Surge and then I cast Chaos right at the end of it, I can actually animation cancel like a good quarter to a third of the skill animation. Whereas if I casted Chaos and then tried to cast Breach Surge, I wouldn't be able to lose anything. So like just for the sake of flow and how nice it is to play the character, I would go Breach Surge, then Chaos, and then 2, and then you're good to blast probably like 2 or 3 packs, and then you just do the loop again. And yeah, that's basically it. Really fun. Super great. Smite is also fun. Honestly, you can run anything you want on her, and I think it'll be really great in terms of subsume if it does damage, or whatever other utility you want. Just don't do that turtle stuff anymore. It's the end of 2025, guys. Don't be lame. All right, let's move on. Let's have fun. Let's play with movement, man. Yeah, that is basically it. Now, again, if you don't have universal fallout, you can use Arcane Energize. If you don't have either of those, I would suggest maybe Equilibrium here. Yeah, you will lose out a little bit on damage, but that energy sustain will just be really worth it, unless you got like 5 Tau purples to throw on, and you can do that. But in terms of the build, this is basically it. Feel free to swap out anything you want, give it a try. Let me know what subsumes you guys end up using, or what subsumes you really like on her, because I'm still like trying to build my subsume inventory. So I'm still trying out a bunch of different things. Now, in terms of Archon Shards, nothing too special. Because you are running as such a cast heavy build, I'm doing 2 casting shards. I want to say this is kind of a must-have. Tau Forged, maybe not so much. It just depends on your inventory. If you have it, it's worth it. And then I have 1 parkour velocity, probably the most flexible. If it's not something you care about too much, honestly, feel free to throw in anything else here. And then I have 2 Tau Forged purples just to help with a little bit more sustain, because I've been playing the build for like 3 to 4 days now, and in terms of energy sustain, I'm feeling very comfortable with it. So I think I am going to slowly wean myself off of the purple shards, just because it does take a little bit of getting used to in terms of like the gameplay loop, getting used to keeping an eye on your energy, because chaos essentially does fill up your entire bar if you cast it into a big pack. So the more you keep an eye on it, I think the less you will need the purple Tau shards. But like if you're just getting started with the build and trying it out, these will just make it a lot cozier, a lot easier to play. And then again, universal follow is really, really powerful. I'm gonna slowly try to wean myself off. I might update the video later in the future, and eventually you can ideally swap anything you want into this. But right now, this is what I have while I get used to the build, because this does take a little bit of like focus and attention. Yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure you like the video. Whatever subsumes you're running, or however, like if you're running any Nyx build that isn't that turtle shell like bullcrap that I see all the time, yo, let me know down in the comments below and I'll give it a try. If you want to see anything specific in terms of Nyx or any other Warframe, any weapons, also let me know down in the comments below. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the builds. I hope you get a lot of value out of them. I hope I can get you away from that turtle lifestyle. And yeah, thank you for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Love, love, love. Later.